Mary, just give me like a 10-second warning before you go live, because I got to eat this cake. It's so fucking good. I can't even believe it. So good. My wife makes a bet. Oh, we're live like now? Like right now? Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Producer's Perspective Live. This is episode number 7, and that was the best funfetti cake you could ever imagine. It was a very special day today. I feel like a DJ. It was my daughter's her second birthday today. A big happy birthday to my daughter, McKenna. It was her day. I tried to get her to stay up, but she was like, no, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. I don't have time for you and your live streams, Dad. She's already way too cool for me. It was her birthday, though, and it was a very special day, even though with everything that's going on, my wife went so far out of her way and worked so hard to make this just as special for my daughter and for our whole family. We Zoomed everybody in. That's what we did. Of course, we brought all the way in. Side note, speaking of Zoom, so I actually bought some stock in Zoom when it went public, because I'm a bit of an early adopter. So I was using it before it went public, and I was like, this is amazing. This is going to be huge. I'm going to buy it. I bought it. Then you know what I did? I sold it. Too early. Damn it. But you know what? If that's the price I got to pay, so be it. Anyway, we zoomed in. We zoomed in everyone from all around the country, friends and family. And my daughter ate this incredible cake. And some stuff on my Instagram. It's at Ken Davenport B-Way if you want to check it out. Again, big props to my wife for making it seem as real as we can in this. We were just talking before about how, life has to go on, and we have to figure out how we go on in these confines of these new rules that we're living right now. You can't just sit back and not celebrate your daughter's birthday. You have to make the best of the situation, and that's what we did. We just made the best of it. You know what? It was funny and awkward, and I had to give my mother Zoom lessons. She could not. Where is she? Is my mom online? She's been watching this. And she had a little trouble getting the camera to go. It defaults to no screen. But if you're on, I'm sorry, but you're slightly technologically challenged. Anyway, happy birthday to my daughter, McKenna. Thank you so much to all of you being here tonight. We've got a very, very special guest, the first director, Pam MacKinnon, who's all the way out on the West Coast right now. A Delicate Balance, Heidi Chronicles, Clybourne Park, which is one of the most powerful plays I've ever seen, and theatrical sequel, if you will, which I find fascinating for all you writers out there. Prequels, sequels, very in right now, very in. You want a project to work on over the next couple of weeks, take a public domain, a classic novel, a classic something, poem, whatever, and don't adapt that. Write a prequel to it or write a sequel to it. It's obviously worked out pretty well for Wicked. So Pam's coming up in just a few minutes. She's waiting backstage. A couple things to remember. Next week, Pam, tonight, starting tomorrow, our third Stephen in a week, in 7 days. It'll be 7 days since we started this. Stephen Sater tomorrow, Jennifer Tepper, Alan freaking Cumming, Lee Silverman, another fantastic director, Sergio Trujillo, Janine. It's going to be a fun week. And I'm going to tell you this right now. There's going to be an extra bonus live stream this week, I think. I'm like 98% sure we're going to have a very important business-focused live stream at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, a matinee, 2 o'clock on Wednesday, with some very important information for anyone who operates a business in this time. So, cake in my throat. So stay tuned for that. Boy, it's great cake. On the Facebook page, we added a donate button to the Actors Fund, so very easy for you to click and donate right now. Someone already donated, so thank you very much. And I'm going to tell you right now, anyone who donates during this live stream tonight, I'm going to double it. So go ahead. If you were ever going to donate to the Actors Fund, tonight is the night. I'm going to double all the donations tonight, okay? So please throw something in there. Doesn't matter what it is, and we'll try to drive out the money we can raise for the Actors Fund. Don't forget our favorite hashtag, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Oh, look, Broadway Podcast Network, thanks for getting that out there for us. Don't forget about this. It's getting a little tougher in a lot of places out there right now. as much as we want to stay positive, and we should, because that curve will eventually go the other way. There's some very dark news today out of New York. Cuomo was not in the best moods or spirits today because he had some more dire news to give us. But it will eventually go the other way as long as we stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Please do that. Okay? That's my ramp up. That's my intro. And now let's bring on the guest of the day. Please welcome to the podcast, director and the artistic director of the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, Ms. Pam MacKinnon. Come on down.
Hi. Look, I'm pretending that I'm. Oh, wait, you're on? Wait, I'm gonna wait. What?
Did you like that?
Wait, it's like tea. Wait, I'm gonna put my tea down.
So Pam, on a scale of 1 to awful, how bad was my acting at the beginning of that, like going into me with the cake? Would you ever hire me to do anything?
Well, it was better than mine just now. No, it was good. It was good. I would have believed it.
So where are you right now? You look like you're in a hut somewhere. Where are you? Give us
a little bit. I'm in the corner of my bedroom in San Francisco, and I'm sitting in this hooded chair that was on stage at the Hudson Theater in The Parisian Woman.
Did you steal that?
I think Uma sat in it during previews and then said, "This feels ridiculous," and didn't sit in there by the time we opened. But it's a beautiful chair that I bought, once we closed, and here I am, lugged it to San Francisco.
You bought it. They didn't give it to you. Just so you know, as a producer,
maybe they gave it to me, but I paid for the truck that delivered it. Like there was I remember money exchanging hands.
Yeah, I just for the record, I definitely would have given it to you. But yeah, usually we were like, but you got to pay the stagehand labor.
I think that was it. Like the $85 was for that.
Right. I'm gonna dive into a question, then we're gonna go back and just check in on how you're doing and everything. But you said Uma Thurman was sat in it for like one moment, was like, that's it, I don't want this thing. Did you, when you work with big stars like that, and you do often a lot, what happens when you did you like the chair in the scene? What if you were like, I love that. How do you negotiate those moments with big stars when they're like, I don't like this, but you think it's important or you love it? What's that like?
I mean, it certainly remained on the set. It just, it was a moment in the play where, she was supposed to be listening to the conversation that the men were having further downstage. And, she sort of felt like, I feel like this actually puts more focus on me, because I feel like I'm now all of a sudden in some noir movie. And, and so she, I think, leaned on it instead. All fine. I mean, it had nothing to do with working with a big star. It had everything to do with like, let's stage the story right. And I'm completely fine if standing or going to the bar. I mean, like all that is a big who cares. It's just like, what is the story we're telling?
Do you walk into plays with them staged in your mind? Do you have an idea of where people are going to move, or is it all organic when you get in the room, you let the actors go where they want to go?
I mean, I certainly have an idea in my mind, but I don't bring it up unless I have to. Or I might, even like working around the table, might sort of like score the script on occasion of like, well, here's the big beat change in a scene, and a move makes sense here. And, but usually actors, find that organically. I also am a big fan of just using like the rehearsal time that we have. And so instead of like imposing like sometime really early to the point where that gets kind of like ossified or like just stuck, I'd rather keep it really loose until stuff gets repeated by the actors. And if they start repeating it, it probably is right. So yeah, I'm not a fan of blocking. I mean, I remember like in high school, sort of like the high school English teacher who got to direct the fall play would say, and now we start our blocking. And I'm like, what? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. Although, certainly in a large cast musical, I mean, you have to have some real staging in mind. I just did a baseball play with 9 characters in it, and or 9 actors in it, probably 40 characters. Tony Stone by Lydia Diamond, and at times, yeah, I want to stage it, but then I let people move within the degrees of freedom.
I love that, the high school teacher directing. My favorite was like the of course the script said like character moves down stage left, because they always take the stage manager script and turn it into the same.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers used to look at the script and then be like, I think you move, like it was coming to him like an inspiration. He was just reading the damn stage direction. So tell me, you're safe and healthy, and where you're in San Francisco right now, I assume, yes? And,
yep.
Tell me where you were or what you were doing when all of this became very real, when all of a sudden it was clear that this virus was going to be bigger than we ever expected and affect, frankly, your day-to-day life and work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just mentioned, Lydia's play Tony Stone, which I did at the Roundabout in the late spring, but we did it here at ACT, and we're marching through previews when, talk of no gatherings north of 1,000 people started coming out in the city of San Francisco. Our opening of Tony Stone at the Geary Theater actually became our closing. So after the show on a Wednesday night, Wednesday, March 11th, we gathered, the actors, the crew, the front of house, my director of production, and I, while the opening night party was starting to happen, we gathered behind the set on the stage of the Geary in a circle, and I announced that we were going to close early.
Oh my God.
At that point, we had decided, just earlier that afternoon, had decided to let the show run through the weekend. So this was a Wednesday night, and we were going to run until Sunday matinee. And by Thursday morning, we made an even more, necessary decision, because by then coming out of City Hall was no gatherings greater than 250, at which point Thursday morning we decided to close the show. We also had another show running in our smaller space directed by Eric Ting, Brandon Jacob Jenkins' play Gloria, that had been running for, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so, and we also then closed that. So we had, 2 of our shows right in the middle of our season, cresting into being big sellers, both of them. We got amazing baseball press for Tony Stone. Tony Stone, a real person, lived in the Bay Area. Luckily, her family came to a Saturday preview. So this was 3 shows before we closed. So I feel really grateful for that. So yeah, that's when it hit home. And I sort of feel like I need to go to Joe Allen's. I mean, certainly Tony Stone at ACT wasn't a flop, and it wasn't on Broadway, but closing on opening night, hey.
Well, what I love about theater people is you're already smiling and laughing about it already. Will we see it again? Will you try to get it up there again?
I mean, it was a co-production with Arena Stage in DC, and half the cast is from the DC Baltimore area. So I'm hopeful it will land at Arena.
Great.
I think that's where we have to leave it. I mean, if there's another season, but I don't think it will be next season when Tony Stone needs to come back to the Bay, I'm all for it. I mean, we were just getting started.
Oh. So speaking of just getting started, this is happening very early in your tenure there as the artistic director. You would, first of all, congratulations. I don't know that we've seen each other since you were named the artistic director. It was like 2018. It wasn't that long ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. July 2018. Yeah, I think you and I spoke when I knew, but you didn't.
Yeah, and you didn't tell me, like such a good doobie. I'm always trying to dig gossip out of people, but Michael Riedel, I am not. So,
yay.
So tell me, how was it going before all this? Were you enjoying being an artistic director?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I mean, getting to, program, thinking of like what does the Bay Area want or need to experience, in tandem with, who are some amazing artists that either I've worked with or I've admired, and they should do this. Like, we had to, cancel. It was supposed to be in rehearsal when we canceled, the rest of our season. We canceled a Rocky Horror, and Sam Pinkleton, who was my choreographer on Amelie and a dear friend and an amazing artist, was going to be the director choreographer. We had an open call audition. We really wanted this to be a San Francisco Bay Area, reach out to the community in a really honest, open the doors way. And we had an open call audition on Halloween, and 220 people signed up. And 9 of the 15 cast members were cast and were first met in that open call situation.
Wow.
And we had to cancel it. We have to cancel it. It's not going to happen. And it just breaks my heart. So that's both like in one show. That's one of the most exciting experiences I've had as a new artistic director, of having an idea, reaching out to some great artists, and then plugging it in with not just talk, but action about how to build community, and get ACT out there and welcoming, and a big open door kind of policy, hiring people who don't have their equity cards, but have been performing for 30 years in drag cabaret scenes. And the Bay Area has a lot of that going on. And we were going to build an amazing show. And now we're not. And it's the highs and the lows. I'm hopeful that eventually, as an artistic director, the highs are as high and the lows aren't so low. But so far, God, it's a little too dynamic. It's just too much.
So with the more artistic directors that I've had on my podcast and talked to, everyone's definition of what they do, and I assume it's because every theater is so unique. If you were writing a classified ad for an artistic director, now that you've been in the job for a year or two, what would you say? What is the job of an artistic director?
Oh man, I mean, it's definitely there's big leadership in both sort of setting the artistic course of an institution. And and an institution is just people. So obviously it's not like I'm managing people's day-to-day lives who work at ACT, but through artistic programming, and maybe that's like one of the biggest levers that I pull, you set the tone of what your organization is about. And even like this last season that's now canceled, we had a theme, and the theme was something I came up with, sort of in tandem with my artistic team. The theme of it was rules of play. There were 2 sports stories in the season, and Rocky Horror, I think, also really plays with gender rules, rules of what is acceptable on stage, so rules of play became a really exciting theme, which then you talk to people in my education department, they're like, yeah, we can talk about rules of play in classrooms and in studio work. ACT also has a conservatory that includes an MFA training program. Some of the other plays that, the productions that the students started to do, also sort of fit into that theme. I mean, so that was, a big part of sort of my artistic directorship, of like, it's a mixture of programming, but also then like trying to create an umbrella that starts with programming, and this theme idea, I think is just really intellectually stimulating, but also useful. I mean, the other big thing as an artistic director is we're in the middle of a strategic plan, and trying to like figure out, what does this place look like when I'm gone, even like what it like, sort of setting up like, 10 years from now, what are some core values? What is our, a really active mission, a really, embedded purpose? We're sort of putting that stuff in play too. So that feels like a big part of the job. And then in addition to that, I will always forever, as an artist, be a director as well. And so like figuring out like, what do I want to put on the stage for San Francisco Bay Area audiences, as I get to know more the artistic community, start thinking about actors who are here, designers who are here that I want to work with. What are some stories that both, are Bay Area centered. How does the Bay Area fit into the national theater ecosystem? I directed a world premiere play by Kate Atwell. Feel very, really excited about starting a playwright's career in some respects. It's a cricket play. It's being done at Theatre Royale in Bath. It just got canceled at Yale Rep because of this damn virus. But this is a playwright I believe in, and I really want ACT to be a place that she considers like a first place to give an early draft.
So great. I love that commitment to artists. Yeah, being able to birth the next generation or give people a home, frankly, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Let's go to some questions that are poured in now. Drew Rieger asked, which classic play or musical have you not directed but really want to? Anything that you've been dying to do that you haven't done yet? That frankly, now you can be like, hey, ACT, we're doing this one. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never directed any Tennessee Williams. I'd really like to direct some Tennessee Williams. I've only ever directed one Shakespeare. That was yeah, that's it. I've directed an Othello. I mean, because I think I've directed so many new plays in the past, producers have always thought of me as a new play person. But certainly there are a lot of classic plays out there. I also think I'd be really great at Moliere. Yeah, I mean, they're a lot. They're a lot. As a producer, of course, now I have to figure out how to afford it. I mean, I certainly have, a lot of audience at ACT that, especially in the Bill Ball years, really were just like feeding. And as a result of that feeding, became hungry for the classics. And it's hard to find classics that have like fewer than 16 people in them. I mean, that's really expensive. So, we continue to try and figure that out.
You're just cut out there, your sound a little bit. There we go. I think you're back.
Okay, great.
Laura Early just asked, tough question, thoughts about working in theater as a leader / director and being a woman. What has your experience been as you climb the ranks? And how is that now for you?
Yeah, I mean, I am a very successful director and now, artistic director of a huge theater, and I am a woman. I don't know what my career trajectory would have been had I been a man. I'm 52 years old. I landed on Broadway in my early 40s. Would I have landed on Broadway in my early 30s had I been a man? I will never know. I mean, I certainly feel sometimes still that there are, rooms where, and this is in any field, where there are rooms where, what I say, maybe falls on deafer ears and then is repeated in a way by a fella, and it becomes, the theme and the rallying call of the day. Like that happens. It happens. And, used to happen even more. But I do feel that, I'm standing on the shoulders of, a generation, and I feel like in theater, a generation is sort of 10 years, standing on shoulders of a generation of women who really, including my predecessor at ACT, Carrie Perloff, who isn't much older than I am, but is definitely of a previous generation, career-wise. And, Carrie Perloff, Molly Smith, I'm blanking right now, Martha Lavey of Steppenwolf, Emily Mann at the McCarter, who really paved the way and let me sit in this really comfy chair.
That Uma sat in once.
Yeah, exactly.
Just once. What are you doing right now during the midst of this to make sure that to keep your projects going, the theater going, and also just to keep yourself motivated throughout when we can't look, theater is about gathering in groups and we can't do it. How are you keeping your stuff going and yourself going? And any tips you have for everyone listening so that they do the same?
Yeah, I mean, God, it's been a crazy 2 weeks. I mean, it's Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, phone call after phone call, email after email. This was sort of the first day, this Sunday, which happens to be my nephew's birthday. So
Yeah.
not just your daughter, but also my 10-year-old nephew. But like the first day where I felt like I wasn't just going from, sort of meeting to meeting. I mean, it's, we've had to lay people off.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible. We're trying to figure out, how and when next season might happen. We had an amazing season lined up, and then this hit. And I don't know how much of it will stick. Financially, obviously, an organization without any revenue coming in just is not sustainable. We shall see. We shall see what happens. I mean, so that's like right now, the day-to-day, the workload feels very reactive and very, it feels a little precarious. And, I'm not saying that ACT won't survive, but not knowing, like no one has information right now. And that is, it's really hard to plan when you don't know, is it July when we can come out of this chair, or is it September, or is it the new year? Like and you're right that theater is inherently makes it very difficult. It's about gathering. It's a gathering space, right? And it's about, people coming together. And yes, we can do that virtually. Like, it's great that I'm making eye contact with you. I feel like I'm making eye contact with you, but it also feels very flat. And at a certain point, I'm actually hopeful that we're going to be so in need of coming back together that, that the performing arts in particular will be just, a place, because we need this and we've been starved for it. Mm-hmm. So, I feel that there's big hope, but I don't know when that will happen. And so how do you plan for that? That feels very, very hard. And that's what feels precarious right now. Yeah. And the Bay Area, sort of like Seattle was, I think, sort of early with the sort of the call for shelter in place. New York is right now the epicenter of it all. I have so many friends there, so many colleagues. I'm truly still a New Yorker, so that's really hard to be away from that. But I'm grateful that I am away from that. It's just hard right now. I don't, I'm cooking better. I think, there's some of my staff that are just adamant about, like, you have to go and get like stuff delivered from restaurants because we have to support restaurants right now, and I've done a little bit of that, but really, it's not just about, eating my groceries, but it's also like cooking is, I like that 35 minutes when I'm preparing something.
It takes time.
I'm really grateful that my partner, John Procaccino, is here. He was getting some dental work done in much cheaper Cincinnati, his hometown, as opposed to very expensive San Francisco, like right before this stuff hit. And I'm very grateful he made it on a plane and is now back. So, John and I sort of have the rhythm in the evening once the Zoom meetings and the emails are over of, like, I cook some dinner, we catch a little bit of news, and then we tend to watch a movie.
It's those little simple things now. It's everything we can grab onto. And I understand this frustrating part of it is the more and more people I do this with and just talk to, everyone is frantic throughout the day. And it just is a testament to all of our desire. Like, we got to make it happen. We got to make it happen. And the hardest part and most frustrating part is, like, no one will tell us when we can actually make the thing happen yet.
Yeah.
But we will. We will get there. We will get there.
We will.
Hopefully sooner than later. And I wish you the best. Thanks so much for doing this. I wish you the best of luck at ACT. It's such an incredible institution. If any of you are in the Bay Area out there, go see a damn show there as soon as we are.
Can I say, so we were really, we have 2 shows that are still streaming for one more week.
Oh, amazing.
So we captured Tony Stone, and it looks amazing. It's a 2-camera shoot. It looks fantastic, and the play just soars. And we also captured Gloria. So until April 5, You can go to the ACT website and get information. There it is, and
There
get
it is.
information
Yeah.
about how to stream them. They look amazing, and we've had some like fantastic national coverage on that. Both Terry Teachout, the Wall Street Journal, as well as David Cody gave it the really big thumbs up. You know, so it's I mean, it's yeah, we got great concessions from our unions. You know, it allowed us